What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and holy smokes, what is happening right now with the world? Many people think we're in World War III as we have two major wars going on right now, and multiple different countries entering into these wars in one way or another. Take a look at what is happening right now. Okay, look at what is happening here right now. U.S. readies forces in and around Israel, but plays down the potential for troops in Gaza. The heightened potential for what could happen here is massive. Take a look here. U.S. may send second aircraft carrier towards Israel. Second aircraft carrier. Thousands of U.S. troops. Think about this here. The ship was already scheduled to deploy, they're saying, but Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin could order it to the Eastern Mediterranean. Yeah, these are massive, massive aircraft carriers, people, with hundreds or thousands of U.S. troops. This is the U.S. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Within hours of the horrific attack by the terrorist group Hamas, the U.S. began moving warships and aircraft to the region to be ready to provide Israel with whatever it needs to respond. A second U.S. carrier strike group departs from Norfolk, Virginia on Friday. Scores of aircraft are heading to U.S. military bases around the Middle East. Special operation forces are now assisting Israel's military and planning intelligence. The first shipment of additional munitions has already arrived, and more is expected soon. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin will arrive in Israel Friday to meet with Israeli leaders to discuss what else the U.S. can provide. Take a listen here to this.
Joe Khalil has the latest on the White House's response to this crisis. Joe, what are you hearing, especially as we wait for Netanyahu and Blinken to address the world here?
Yeah, keeping an eye on that. And look, so the White House at this moment is coming at this conflict and this war from really two fronts. One is military and material support for our partners in Israel, and the other piece is the diplomacy piece, with the Secretary of State traveling to the region now. So we're going to begin with the military piece. And you talked about the special ops. We have confirmed from the Pentagon, our sources tell us, there are American special ops in Israel routinely there, and that they're now working with the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, to try to strategize and game plan as to how to handle the hostage situation in Gaza. Now, nobody is suggesting that American forces are about to invade Gaza. There is no plan to do that at the moment, but it is important to talk about the fact that they are, at least in the strategizing phases, offering advice and whatever they can to the IDF, the Israeli counterparts there. And the other piece of this is we also are seeing some reports that in one European partner country, there are other special forces, Americans, that are being told to stay on alert. Now, on the diplomatic front, you have the Secretary of State traveling overnight to Tel Aviv. Again, we're waiting to hear his remarks now. He is there meeting with high-level officials, including Prime Minister Netanyahu. They're talking about, among other things, the hostages. And we do have a soundbite that he gave to reporters just before he got on the plane and headed to Israel. Here is what Secretary Blinken had to say.
We lost 22 Americans. That number could still go up, and it probably will. At the same time, we have a number of Americans who remain unaccounted. We are working very closely with the government of Israel to determine their whereabouts, and if they have been taken hostage by Hamas, to work to secure their release.
Now, Secretary Blinken tomorrow is set to meet both with Mahmoud Abbas, who leads the Palestinian Authority, and King Abdullah of Jordan. These are American allies. And the Palestinian Authority, we should make the distinction here, they are not Hamas. They're an opposing political party within the Palestinian authorities there in the West Bank and in Gaza. Both of these leaders, who again are going to be meeting with Secretary Blinken, they have been pushing for humanitarian assistance to those living in Gaza. And we're not talking about Hamas militants. We're talking about civilians there, families and children who are now displaced, some 300,000. We know there's no aid, no food and water coming in to Gaza. So those leaders have been pushing for that. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of their meetings with the Secretary of State as that happens tomorrow.
This is where it gets extremely tricky here, in that the U.S. and other countries all want to support their allies. Is this World War III? How involved do other countries get? This is where it got really tricky with Ukraine and dozens of other countries supporting Ukraine and really walking the line there. Here is President Biden talking about U.S. hostages in Israel. Take a listen here.
And later today, President Biden is expected to speak with the families of some of the Americans believed to be held hostage in Gaza by Hamas. The president was asked about the scheduled call in an upcoming interview on 60 Minutes, and here's what he had to say.
Why do you feel so strongly about speaking to these families personally on Zoom?
Because I think they have to know that the President of the United States of America cares deeply about what's happening. Deeply. We have to communicate to the world. This is critical. This is not even human behavior. It's pure barbarism. And we're going to do everything in our power to get them home if we can find them.
Meanwhile, North Korean President Kim Jong-un rips U.S. aircraft carrier visit to South Korea, warns of, quote, catastrophic circumstances. The statement comes after the USS Ronald Reagan and its battle group docked at the South Korean port of Busan. You can see how the U.S. is involved in potential problems with multiple different countries here. Russia, Iran, China. It's never ending here. And now the Israel-Hamas war. Yeah. The deployment is part of a pledge with South Korea to increase regular visibility of U.S. military assets in the region after North Korea increased its missile tests in the recent months. The statement also comes amid increasing concerns about possible attempts by North Korea to negotiate an arms deal with Russia, which has probably already happened. The leaders of the two countries met last month. The North Korean state news agency called the arrival of the USS Ronald Reagan, quote, an undisguised military provocation, and reiterated its increasingly common accusation that the United States was attempting nuclear war, or was tempting nuclear war. Quote, it is an undisguised military provocation driving the situation to irrevocable, catastrophic circumstances that the U.S. persists in introducing various nuclear strategic assets into the Korean Peninsula, where a possibility of constant military collision exists, and the danger of an outbreak of nuclear war is rampant. The KCNA report read. The news agency reiterated that North Korea's threat that it would deploy nuclear weapons if deemed necessary, writing that the state's doctrine on the use of nuclear weapons allows for the state to execute necessary action procedures in case a nuclear attack is launched against it or it is judged that the use of nuclear weapons against it is imminent. So honestly, if you're watching this stuff, you see what is happening in Russia, in North Korea, in Israel, and don't even forget what's happening with China and Taiwan. You see all this stuff, Iran as well. Any of these things could pop off, and we're one step away from major cataclysmic stuff from happening. I mean, these are just absolutely just, we want to hope that this stuff doesn't happen, but I mean, I'm showing you guys this stuff here. We're seeing this stuff happen. I mean, the war in Ukraine and Russia has been going on for over 20 months here. I mean, I remember reporting this to you guys stuff over 20 months ago when Russia put hundreds of thousands of troops right on the border, and people were saying, oh, that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. And here we are over a year and a half later, and it's still happening. So, I mean, these are unprecedented times. I mean, and here we are in the United States, the divided states of America. We've impeached our former president 2 times here in the House of Representatives. We have an impeachment inquiry into our current president. We just kicked out our Speaker of the House of Representatives for the first time ever in the history of our country ever. We can't elect a new speaker here. These are just unwavering times here. What's next? What's next? So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. And heaven forbid that the U.S. gets drawn into something even more so than we are now. We can't agree on anything. We literally can't agree on anything. Republicans can't agree within their own party to even elect a leader of their own party for the House. Republicans and Democrats surely can't agree between themselves. They're completely on opposite sides. They literally vote, and it's like just they have completely different points of view. How are we going to defend our own country when we can't agree on anything? It's a sad state that we are in. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I will keep you up to date. If you haven't yet, subscribe down below. I'll keep bringing you guys the realistic point of view of what is happening here. Don't forget to like and share these videos. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click here to see the nuclear exercise that NATO is doing here because of what Russia just did. Or click here to see Congress's warning that this is going to happen in America next. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.